whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today, but if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
We all know and love our B1 brother Gavin, also known as G-Boot. Born and raised in New Orleans, Gavin and his father created an authentic Creole-style seasoning called Nani's.
All right, so we just tried the chicken, and we put the tried the chicken with some Nani's. We added some Nani's to a blend as y'all saw earlier, and then shout out to that. How was it? It goes great, obviously. That's what he said. So that's Nani's Creole Blends. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go to our website, Nani's, Nonis, CreoleBlends.com. NONISCreoleBlends.com, ladies and gentlemen. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nani's goes great with every dish. Oh, I can smell it right there.
Go ahead. You know how to do it, nigga.
Anyway, guys, try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nani's goes great with every dish. Go to NonisCreoleBlends.com and order you some Nani's Creole Blends, ladies and gentlemen. Happy 4th of July. Oh, we're going to try some more. Can't wait for the burgers. So.
Make your food more flavorful. Chicken, meat, or fish, Nani's goes great with every dish. Order at NonisCreoleBlends.com. We all know.
That's right. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish, ladies and gentlemen. Nani's goes great with every dish. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of the hottest live stream here on this channel. Ladies and gentlemen, Random Topic Thursdays. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. If you're listening on Facebook, on Twitter, on my backup channel, Gavin Richard, on YouTube, and our main channel, GB2786, welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to everyone in the chat, from Tamisha Godfrey, who loves the pick and thumb title. Oh, yes, it is on point. I have a scheme, ladies and gentlemen, that these two Justins are here trying to run game on you because they talk like Dr. King, but now I kind of sound like Barack Hussein Obama. And speaking of which, Michelle, I need that chicken. I need a little bit more fried. Go ahead and get out there. All right. Okay. I'm getting ready to watch the Freaknik Documentary. So Michelle, please take care of that. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, our topics for the night, of course, is I had a scheme. Are the two Justins pawns for the DNC in 2024? Also, Malika Andrews gets called out by Kwame Brown and others over Jalen Rose Hutton. Third, Louisville Shooter's brain to be examined for CTE. And Freaknik. Doc has a bunch of mamas shaking in their 94 Daisy Dukes. All this and more. Oh, I forgot this one. It's kind of my favorite topic, because this is all I talked about when I was in the White House, was LGBTQ. Budweiser stock plummets, the Bud dive. Anheuser-Busch loses more than $5 billion in value amid Dylan Mulvaney's Bud Light controversy. All this and more, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we have our special guest tonight. I will get to the gentleman in a second, but I need you to please go to Amazon.com and order The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in the United States on Kindle. Also, please donate to the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle that you see at the ticker at the bottom. Now, let us bring on, especially my brother from another, who is actually in Chicago. I have Harvey Superboy from Your World. Let's bring him on. Harvey, You're talking to the Barack.
Hello, Brock.
How are you doing, my man? How you doing, Jay-Z?
No, wait a minute, let me do that again. Well, yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm really good. I'm in the shot, enjoying the weather. Yeah.
Well, that's right. That's right. You're in my town the whole time with Shy. Of course, Jay-Z, we always take true trips to Cuba every now and then at the island.
Yeah, me and Beyonce. Yeah, we do too. Yeah.
I'm glad you're recovering from that ass whipping from Solange. Now, okay.
Me too. Oh.
Well, that's right. Bo also loves you as well, Jay-Z. He sings his best. Next we have the author of The Man Crisis, ladies and gentlemen, our brother Sean James. He is the author of over 70 plus or close to 80 now books. You can also get the Woman Crisis by Sean James. Brother Sean James, how are you doing from the bowels of New York?
I'm good, Gavin. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Sean, do you want to do some plugins for tonight?
Well, my new book, John Haynes 1987, will be available on May 26th. So if you want to pre-order a digital copy on Kindle, you can pick up a copy of John Haynes 1987 and take a trip back to the 1980s.
All right. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, brother. Now, I got to talk about this. There's a lot to talk about. I'm going to get into. The main thing everybody's seen by my title, smash up the likes too, by the way. Smash up the likes, smash up the likes, smash up the likes. Hit that notification bell so you know we're live. And that's Sean with the computer. Sean, he's playing Nintendo or something. What's that?
No, I'm trying to get up to the page so I can share it with my other social media.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I told this I had a scheme. Sean, you have a video coming up. Now, I talked about the two justices. Now, of those of you who are aware of what's going on, there are two uh, state legislators out of Nashville, Justin Pearson and Justin, what's this other guy's last name? Justin Justin Jones. And recently, I believe Pearson was reinstated, and was just recently reinstated. Before that, Justin Jones was reinstated. Now they were kicked out by the state legislature out in Nashville, due to the fact that they, along with another congressperson, another state legislator who was a white woman, they led a protest inside the state capital of Nashville. And they voted to have those three removed and ejected from their, obviously from their from their committees. They're planning it from the House there. But recently, the city council out in Nashville has reinstated them. Now, the white woman was not kicked out. I believe her name, which I have right here, Gloria Johnson. She's out of Knoxville. So Pearson is from Memphis. So Jones is from Nashville. Johnson is from Knoxville. Now she wasn't kicked out, but they brought them back in. Now the controversy that has come out, especially what I have brought out recently, is that new black media, and especially my black family that's all on Twitter, are not falling for what they believe to be some type of pawn that is set up of some type of uh, code break switching, or I should say, sleight of hands with the Democratic Party. And I'll give you some videos and explain why. Because basically, these men were protesting gun control. Protesting in favor of having gun control passed by the state legislature. And Tennessee, my understanding is an open carry state. If you are legally allowed to own a gun, you're legally able to carry, and I believe concealed. From what I was talking with Brother Judge Joe Brown earlier today, Judge was an actual, not just a TV judge. He was a criminal court judge for over 16 years out in Tennessee. So he tried over cases that involved homicides, thefts, robberies, and so forth. And I'm sure he's had to deal with gun possession charges. Now, he is pro Second Amendment, just like I am. And he's told me some choice things. He said, "Oh, that damn Pearson was 65 punk." Now, I had to do my Judge Joe Brown right quick. But I'm going to show the video so we can move quickly. Just what I saw earlier that caught to my attention, because now even on the New York Daily Post, they put an article up about Justin Pearson regarding people talking about his appearance. Now, I want to show you this. So this is
running for president of PSG. There are a few reasons that we're running this campaign this year. One has to do with representation. How can we represent all voices in a conversation? I wanted to do this by partnering with organizations from the Bowdoin Democrats to the Bowdoin Republicans. I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more conservative, in order that we can reach a point of sort of the radical middle.
Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But oh, that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last. But oh, we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes.
Justin J. Pearson.
And Tariq Nasheed say, so this guy went from Carlton Banks to rocking an afro and speaking in a fake MLK accent, and we are wrong for having questions about him. And they did some other stuff. I saw my brother Dwan B even talking about it. So this also happened. I hadn't seen this video, but
Be all right, be all right, be all right. Yes.
this is cold.
I got a feeling every day. Oh, we got that one. Be all right. Yes. I got a feeling everything's gonna be all right. Be all right. Be all right. Be all right. Oh, everything's gonna be all right.
And I believe there was something else that took place outside the steps. So this is Pearson now again.
I see. I believe it is
Everyone
a
mark-
people who've been ostracized, coming to the well. See, I see white folk and black folk. I see queer folk and straight folk. I see rich folk and poor folk moving from the back to the well of the house, demanding justice right now, not tomorrow, but right now. Justice right now, and it is this movement that's gonna change this country. It's this movement in this moment in time that's gonna change the country. And I'm so glad. Oh, I'm so glad. Yes, I'm glad. Oh, I'm glad. Yes, I'm glad. I'm so glad. Yes, 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 yes. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Hey, I'm glad. Are you glad? Are you glad? Is anybody else glad that he's done it again? Is anybody glad?
Who's glad? Only thing missing is the collection plate. Now, Harvey, I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh my God, that was embarrassing. Cringe-worthy. Now, I know me and you had talked briefly or communicated briefly about it, you know, if he got an agenda. I think what he's doing, what most Black people have done in politics the last I'm gonna say 40 years or so. It's called a buffoon. Basically, they trying to appeal to whiteness, but using black people. How can I say this? Unhealthy focus on religion by using the king or the southern preacher cadence and all the jumping and singing and all that kind. I don't know if you saw that second video with the when the young man was standing up there singing, now the white girl was looking at him smiling. Now he was trying to appeal to the white folk when he's talking about the gun violence and stuff, and the white folk ain't been that energetic. It was energetic when it was fresh last week. Then when the people in the with the Tennessee Senate, whatever, did what they did, it became a black thing, and black folks got to stop falling for the okie doke.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime when we getting screwed over, everybody is silent. Gun violence has always been an issue in our community, whether we're the victims of it or where it's being so done illegal in our neighborhoods. Nobody gets emotional about when we get shot up, whether it's by our own hands or somebody coming doing dirt. Only when little white kids and white teens get shot in their schools, everybody like, oh my gosh, we got to do something. And like idiots, we want to be in front of the camera standing next to them. That remind me of what John Lewis did before he died. I mean, all set on the floor and start talking about trans rights and gun violence. We put on a show for the world and we get nothing out of it. No other group does that. You don't see no Hispanics doing that. You don't see no Asians doing that. You don't even see the gay community doing that. So now you got these young brothers jump up and down, basically playing on a stereotype that the best we get to black folk is singing, dance, and talking to Southern Baptist cadence. It's insulting. Now, do I think they got some more nefarious going on? No, I think they just been opportunistic. They're using the black vote, the black bodies to go out there and help everybody else, and we get nothing for it because nobody stand with us like that. Nobody.
So you think they're just using it to advance their own political gain? Nobody.
Oh, without a doubt. They want to be the moving shakers now. They figure, those of us are now in our early 40s or 50s, move out of the way. It's the young folks' turn. We had the same minds, but not that bad, because I don't remember us jumping up and down with the fake accent and getting the Holy Ghost. His brother, like they say from Carlton Banks, the Dr. King got the fro. And I mean, I don't know, man. It's insulting. It really is insulting to our intelligent as black folk. And we always like to be putting on a damn show for the world. No other group does this but us.
Right. And that it's a show, it's all showing games. And the main thing I hate is how these motherfuckers are being compared to Dr. King and Malcolm X and Medgar Evers. Give me a break.
Let me tell you something. I saw them stand in front of the Lorraine Motel the other day, and that was so insulting because a week prior, when it was the 55th anniversary, you wasn't there. Now you guys get your nigga moment. Now all of a sudden, y'all challenging Dr. King. Lawrence O'Donnell last night is talking about what Dr. King. First, let me remind everybody, Dr. King was assassinated 55 years ago, 39 years old. At the time of his murder, people was cheering. They said they was glad he was dead. Now they pull out Dr. King to pimp him out. That's the insult.
The insult to me, these are not civil rights leaders. These are opportunists. These are politicians. Nobody has ever heard of these individuals until recently when you had that shooting in their school. And then they wanted to lead a crowd into the Tennessee legislature. And let's be clear. What they did, because even Judge has talked about it, I have no problem, and I've said this before, with First Amendment stuff, people protesting, with people that want support gun control. That's their right to do so. They have a right to protest. I've been inside of state legislatures. I've been inside the Capitol out in D.C. We protested as well when we were trying to get people back to New Orleans. There was a time and place and manner in which we did it, however. We did not go on the floor of Congress and disrupt the proceedings, which is what they did. They did not create and do what Dr. King and Medgar Evers and Malcolm X and Stokely Carmichael and others did by put their lives on the line. In my humble opinion, I believe, this is what I believe, they were there, of course, just looking at, to push an agenda. And you saw when they were out on the steps and he's saying, I see black people, I see white people, I see queer people, I see straight people. He always got to link that up. They always link you up with other groups to do this super friends thing. Let's be clear, it's not on an even playing field. Even with Super Friends, Batman led Super Friends, and Batman doesn't even have the superpowers of his allies like Superman and Wonder Woman. He had money. Bruce Wayne was a playboy. Batman was the real deal. But Sean, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, back in 2022, I did a live stream where I talked about how Black America has a bootleg problem, and this is a textbook example of that bootleg problem. Now, what I see here with these bootlegs is that they are becoming a bit more crafty at trying to pander to Black people, and these two guys basically came up with a scheme hoping to play on the emotions of Black people.
Wait, Sean, let me stop you. Wait, I'm sorry. Let me hold that thought. I got to show this though, because this is what Harvey was talking about. This was outside the Lorraine Motel. This is the video. Oh, just if I could play 52 seconds of it. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm sorry.
Transform a broken nation and a broken state into the place that God calls for it to be. This is the democracy that will bring people from the back, people who've been pushed to the periphery, to the center of justice. This is the democracy that is going to transform our nation. This is the democracy that's going to lift up the victims of gun violence instead of supporting the NRA and the gun lobbyists. This is the democracy that they're scared of. This is the democracy that they're worried about, because this is the democracy that changes the status quo. This is the democracy that changes the status quo. But we've got news. The status quo needs changing, and the status quo needs you. So today we march, and we gonna keep fighting, and we gonna keep pushing, because we believe that this is what democracy looks like.
I'm sorry, Sean.
Now, these bootlegs now are becoming a bit more crafty and trying to pander to Black people now that new Black media is here to check these people's paperwork, as Professor Black Truth has stated, and to look at the backgrounds of these individuals. So what these guys wanted to do was, they know that people are going to check their paperwork, so what they wanted to do was create a gimmick to get people's attention. And they know that a lot of Black people are emotional, and they oftentimes get caught up in things like buzzwords. So we saw these guys start to orchestrate that stunt at the State House, where they had this so-called March for Gun Control. And this played to people's emotions about that mass shooting. And as they did this, they went out here and went into their characters, because this wasn't them coming from the heart. These were guys, they created caricatures of themselves to appeal to the Black masses. You got one dude with this press and curl looking like James Brown. You got the other one with an afro looking like he's from the 70s. Again, playing to the emotions of Black people, hoping to get them caught up in their rhetoric using buzzwords like democracy. And this is something I saw go on with the 2022 midterms. A lot of times talking about throwing that word democracy around and talking about things like the alphabet agenda, but never saying anything about Black issues. So these guys were running a game from minute one. It was never really about gun control. It was about seeing how far they could get as related to pushing their agenda on the Black community, and hoping to hopefully get some Black people to support them as related to whatever political agenda they were having. And this is, again, why new Black media was important, because if it wasn't for new Black media going out here and checking these guys' backgrounds, looking at the words that they were using, because the words they were using, to me, I saw the red flags with them. You're talking about everything but Black issues. You're sitting there talking about democracy, which is a big buzzword that came back in 2022 midterms as related to that whole issue, as people didn't want people supporting the red party. So they go out here and talk about democracy. You have them talking about these other issues as related to the alphabet community. You have them sitting there talking about everything but black issues. And they're going out here protesting the mass shooting that the little white girl who was a part of the alphabet community participates in. But you don't see these guys talking about many of the young black kids who are killed in gun violence every weekend and every weekday here in many of these cities. That's what makes these guys appear to be disingenuous. And it goes back to a point I made in one of my books, The Temptation of John Haynes, where I talk about always being aware of the subtle politics transpiring around you. And with these kind of guys, you have to be aware of their subtle politics, because they sit there on the outside, they put on the face telling you what you want to hear. But the whole thing is that as they're telling you what you want to hear, you've got to listen to what they're saying between the lines. Moreover, you have to look at their actions, because it's their actions that speak louder than their words. Because I looked at that whole protest and saw the big scam around it. Because again, why are you going to out here for the white girl who participates in the mass shooting, talking about gun control? And why are you sitting there talking about gun control when it's a serious family issue? I mean, I've done research on these mass shootings for years, and the real reason why we have these issues is because of the complete collapse of the family. But these guys wanted to go out here and spout the rhetoric that would get them people's attention. And again, these two guys put on a certified minstrel show. And this is why we have to really do one thing the late David Carroll has said, and that is we got to pick our own candidates, because when we pick the candidates, they follow our agenda. And we don't go out here and pick these hand-picked bootlicks, because these hand-picked bootlicks, again, they're about everybody else and not us.
Yeah, look, I don't know these guys, and I don't know if Killer Sai, if you're being serious when you said that these guys, you said Justin would make is a good orator with speeches, and he'd be a good leader for the Tennessee House. I mean, look, I don't know him personally. I'm not up there in Tennessee, but I'm looking at what I saw. I wasn't impressed. And I don't like, and maybe my language was strong in saying that, but I didn't like the fact that they had this rally outside a place where one of our icons was assassinated to talk about gun control. Now, I did see that he was on the Breakfast Club, I believe, and I don't watch the Breakfast Club, but Tariq Nasheed showed a video where he was being questioned, and there were good questions by the sister who was asking him about what is his policies for Black people, how he supports corporations, and so forth. And she got positive response from that. And if you look at the comments, of course, there were some who were against him, and there are a lot of people who are falling for this thing. But
yeah, I saw it too. He was hesitating, and she kept pressing, and then Charlamagne the God, and eventually said he'll put on his website. Earlier, when you asked me, did they have an agenda after watching those two videos? Yeah, I think they do have an agenda. And I think it's for the other groups. It's not for Blacks. They use Blacks to go straight from other people's numbers, and we need to get wise to that, because the very white teens and adults was in that hall last week. They not around now. That's very telling. You see number of Black folks around here hooping and hollering, jumping up and down, looking like idiots. If you go back and get that video again with the white people in the background while he was up there standing there, keep singing, they was smirking at him. They was looking at him like, this fool.
right. I don't see. But my whole thing too with this is that, I know that now too. It's 2023, 2024. It was just announced that DNC is actually going to be in your home city of Chicago, Harvey.
Yeah.
So
I will not be surprised if they had these two as speakers.
Oh, you know they coming.
I remember Barack Obama.
Uh-huh.
Barack Obama was running for a House for a United States Senate in 2004, and he spoke at the DNC. And he was actually I can't remember who he was running against. But
What's the brother, the carpetbagger? I forget his name right now, but
Alan Keyes.
Alan Keyes. What happened was Jerry Ryan of Star Trek, her ex-husband found out they had a freaky thing going. They would go to the swingers clubs, and he got outed, so he didn't run. So Obama felt, oh, this is my chance. But they was afraid that that this black guy from the South Side that people barely knew about was going to get that position. So the Republican Party said, we need somebody. So Alan Keyes said, I'll go in there. And everybody accused him of being a carpetbagger. He embarrassed him because he didn't know the way of the Chicago politics and Illinois politics. Like I keep telling everybody, don't comment on stuff if you don't know what's going on here. And with the convention going on, the soon-to-be former mayor, she didn't want to get all that rolling and everything. Now they talking about, now we're going to go to this progressive thing because Johnson won. And I'm like, Johnson is no different than those two brothers down there in Tennessee. They pandered to a particular group of people, and the black community is going to lose out. And Black Chicago is going to lose out because that area where the Bulls played, there was an all-black neighborhood at one time. Them brothers and sisters are being pushed out of the neighborhood left and right. Matter of fact, the United Center is down the street, not even 2 blocks from where Fred Hampton Black Panther headquarters to be at. They've been trying for years to rename the street Fred Hampton Way or get a plaque from Chicago police officer. We ain't going for that. Wait, I'm sorry.
I gotta ask Killer Size something because he put this up and he says, looks like the white people of Tennessee got to be on the same page for us in the fight of the black community. G. Boot, Sean, in your world. We gotta stay on the Republicans' necks to get tangibles, especially for the Democrats as well in Tennessee. But here's the thing, Killer Side, I gotta ask you, what are the Democrats actually doing? What are they doing up there? What have they done? Just think about it. In the last 40 years, black people have been voting Democrat. Even longer than that. Just voting blindly Democrat. What has that benefited from us? When we finally started to get the right to vote, we saw Maynard Jackson, mayor of Atlanta, Harold Washington, mayor of Chicago, New Orleans. We had Judge Morial. Tom Bradley was out in Los Angeles, so I think Bradley was a Republican, if I'm not mistaken. David Dinkins out in New York. We all wanted to see a so-called first black mayor, black governor, or black president, and we got that. When they got in, what happened? Subsequent after that, I could say Maynard Jackson gave tangibles. Dutch Morial fought to do things, but he fought hard, and I mean he stood up against whites. Harold Washington, his time was short. You know, Sean always talks about how Dinkins was a failure. What has that gotten us? So you're saying they're trying to get a gun rights bill passed and get red flag laws in Tennessee, get rid of guns for criminals in Tennessee. Okay, but how does that relate to black folk exactly? Because when it comes to gun control, getting rid of passing gun rights, they're trying to get a gun rights bill passed or a gun control bill passed because Tennessee, is my understanding, is already an open carry state. There are, a lot of people forget this, there are hundreds of gun laws already on the books, federal laws. You can't get a gun if you have a domestic violence conviction or you got a protective order against you. Here in Louisiana, if you get someone files a restraining order against you, that time period of that restraining order, you can't own a firearm. And there are federal laws with that. That started because of O.J. Simpson. Harvey, you know this. Sean, you know this. The laws changed after that case. Domestic violence laws. So The laws are there, but here's the thing: even with the laws there, there's still shootings taking place. And these guys, and the point is that one of the reasons why it's well, two of the reasons it's happening. Number one, they can go on the black market. And that means getting it from somebody or getting it from somebody else who has a gun if they want to do harm on somebody. And the other thing is sometimes the feds are not doing their jobs. You can take away, let's say we take away AR-15s and AR-15s. What about shotguns then? What if somebody, you can do, Sean, Harvey, you know this because you've been around guns. You can do more damage with a Remington 870 with a 12-gauge shotgun that shoots three-fourths of buckshot into somebody. Because a shotgun sprays, you can harm 5 people or 3 people at once, especially if they're together. These people that are talking about this, I bet half of them haven't been to a gun range never in their lives. But back to this, don't be fooled, ladies and gentlemen, about what's going on here. You know, these men, my antennas have been up ever since I've seen them. And I think it's right to have questions about them because, yeah, I think there is a scheme that's in place. And, you know, that's my opinion of it because they were reinstated. And Sean, you saw this, they were reinstated real quick.
Yeah.
It was like theatrics. You get kicked out, you have CNN, you have MSNBC, CBS, ABC on a live stream talking about it. And then a couple of days later, 3 days later, just like the resurrection, you're reinstated. You rose again. See how it works. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. We got to move on. I got to talk about this real quick, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to know what your thoughts are, Sean and Harvey. If you saw this, the feds had declined to press charges in the death of Shanquella Robinson. I spoke on this yesterday when it was announced on the live stream. When it was announced on Wednesday afternoon, CBS News actually did a story saying that charges were not going to be filed. The Fed found that there was not enough evidence in which to issue, I guess, an arrest warrant or warrant or further investigation into Shanquella's death. Of course, those that know Shanquella Robinson was a 25-year-old Black woman from North Carolina who was killed. She was murdered via femicide, according to the authorities out in the California, Del Mar, in Mexico, at a Mexican resort in Cabo San Lucas. So I want to ask you all what y'all thought because they originally said, of course, tried to say her death was due to alcohol poisoning, but the coroner said no, she actually had a broken vertebrae, meaning her neck was broken. I'll start with you, Sean.
Well, it's a shame that this young lady will never get justice here in America as related to her murder. And these people who orchestrated this murder basically played a chess game to get this young lady's life in their hands. I mean, they basically plotted to murder this young woman. And it's really a travesty that this young lady is not going to get any justice. I mean, she went out and tried to go out here and help all of these people. And they basically just stabbed her in the back, literally. And I just am absolutely disgusted that Shanquella Robinson won't be able to get any justice. And basically these monsters knew this. And again, I look at them and I say that while they may not get justice in the American criminal justice system, they may run into justice from the Most High, and they may wind up suffering even more when they reap what they sow. Because these monsters, again, what they did was absolutely reprehensible to murder this young woman, and it's a shame that she can't get any justice from our American criminal justice system.
All right, most definitely. Sean, Harvey. Harvey? Harvey having some, might be, I think Harvey is having some difficulties. We'll get back to him in a minute. Yeah, I think Harvey's busy in a second. We'll get back to it. But, I shared my thoughts on this yesterday. Myself, I'm saddened about it. Certainly, there is still a possibility. However, I would point out, Sean, that justice could still be brought, although it may not be in the United States court, if the United States cooperated and brought this in Mexico, if an extradited perpetrators be accused to Mexico. However, according to the Mexican authorities, the DOJ and the FBI have not been cooperating with the country. And the reason why, in part, remember, in the United States, we have a different system and code of law and rules and criminal procedure that states a man or woman is innocent until proven guilty. So I think that factors in. The other thing that factors in is that Shanquella Robinson is a black woman. We've seen many times, I think, with a lot of these white girls who go and disappear, they move hell and high water to bring their killers to justice. I can't think, was it Natalie Holloway who went missing out in on one of these islands, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, it was.
And they tried everything to find her killer.
It took years to find her killer, but they did.
Yeah, she disappeared. This was in the 2000s, right? So
Yeah.
she disappeared out she went out to Aruba. Now I don't think the killer was ever caught, if I'm but the point being, that got, people were talking about that. Let's not also forget, I've seen even videos, I've seen movies where husbands will go out, take their wives on vacation, and kill them, like the one who turned off the scuba tank when she went when they went diving.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I mean, they'll do stuff like that. Yeah, John Benet Ramsey. Well, we found out with her that, it was always speculated her parents were involved, but then they found out it was somebody else who had been there. Chandra Levy, yeah.
I'm sorry about that, Gavin.
It's all right. We're just talking about.
You know what? I never thought they was going to do anything with this. Number one, the Mexican officials, if I remember, it was in Mexico or some part of South America, they messed up the initial case because they said that she got hurt some other way. When we all saw the video of her getting attacked, she was naked. They beat the crap out of her. And the thing is, they just don't care about black folks who get murdered in foreign countries. If she was Caucasian, then maybe. And there was no outrage in the media. I mean, look how they made it seem as if she was tacky and the part of the community, just like when those brothers and sisters got killed a couple of months ago in Mexico, when they said a cartel mistaken them for somebody.
Yeah.
This happens a lot, and I don't know why black folk go to these places in these countries where they not really wanted, and then if something happened to them, they have no restitution. And the thing is, some of these brothers and sisters need to be aware of the company they keep, because it seemed like the women that did this to her, they were jealous of her.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: what it was with Harvey, initially, the Mexican authorities did an autopsy, and remember, what was told to the family was that she had alcoholic poisoning. That's what the friends stated. But then the parents didn't believe it because remember, well, if she had died, why did you leave? her body like that, and nobody was there with her because she was found by the hotel aides and so forth that found her. So they did an autopsy in Mexico and said that the death was either caused by an accident or homicide based off the injury to her back and neck. So we saw the videos, and obviously there was enough to me to show that she was at least assaulted, uh, at the bare minimum from the video footage, that there were several perpetrators that were involved. I would also state you could make an argument the person that was recording may or may have been just as liable as a principal to it because he was standing there and recording and not intervening in it. Was he playing a role? And to me, my opinion, he probably was.
Oh no, it was obvious. It just remind me of the young lady that died a few years back up here in Chicago that was in the freezer.
Yeah.
And everybody was trying to say it was something more nefarious when in fact she went to a party, got high, had shady friends. The friends left her and drove her mother car back to the mom house, and they act like it was something more nefarious. And people was on the internet speculating. I don't understand. I really don't understand. Like I said, why do we go to these foreign countries and don't understand the laws? Because we hear horror stories like this all the time, where foreign Americans go to these countries and some Americans get killed, and the officials do some shady investigation, and the family start yelling. Like you said, this warrant a further investigation, but the United States government don't give a damn about blacks who travel abroad. If she was a blonde hair, blue eyed white chick, then it'd be different.
Yeah. Ladies also got to be careful. Well, for everybody, you got to be careful about the company. Everybody, the old saying, all your skin folk ain't kinfolk. This was a prime example. But I could tell you, if I was her father, her mother, I would not give up, obviously, and doing everything I could to get justice. And I know it's got to be difficult, but I got this. And let me say this: the feds would have to prove that a federal crime had taken place that they could prosecute. Murder, in and of its murder, as you know, is not a federal crime; it is a state offense. So there's no statute of limitations on a homicide. Now, what would be difficult, and another way that they could get it in, is if they could prove, either if they went back and looked and found that there were, for instance, some type of communications with these individuals that specifically stated they were going to plot to kill Shanquella Robinson, and they wanted to set it up and go to another country. You might have something there if they're able to prove that, but they've probably erased their emails, their text messages. The only thing we have that shows possibly there might have been there was some culpability is when we look at that video again and see her being assaulted. Again, we unfortunately may never know the truth, and in a homicide, it's always important, number one, to get the information immediately. You get news while it's hot, to get the evidence while it's hot, because the more it waits, especially if it sits over and over again. And really, from what the parents said, what her mother stated, she was upset with the feds because she said they were holding things up. Another thing they can do, Harvey and Sean, there could be a civil lawsuit that may be filed for wrongful death, and perhaps against who they believe are the perpetrators. And there is no beyond a reasonable doubt in a civil court. Civil court, the burdens of proof, just like we did with OJ, is different. If you file a wrongful death, it's a preponderance of the evidence if you believe that person caused the death of another. So
they can go after the resort. They can go after the hotel, the travel agent, hit them in the pockets. Because I guarantee you, when you start messing with these companies' dollar signs or putting these question marks out there for them, then things start to change.
Well, The question is, where's the hotel? Hotel located in Mexico, so it's a foreigner.
But if you have companies that in the United States, travel agents that work with that, because American citizens do travel there.
They do, but they can name them in there, but it's not the easiest thing to do. It's just what I'm getting at.
Gotcha. I understand.
But I mean, yeah, you could do that. Of course, their attorneys get involved, and then they may file obviously motions to dismiss because you got to show some type of connection. But obviously, the reason why you named a bunch of people, just as a heads up, as an attorney, is because you want the money. So, for instance, I'll just give you an example. You know that song, "The Lion Sleeps Tonight."
Mm-hmm.
That song was actually written by a South African man some 70 years ago before it became the hit that it was today. He wrote the melody for it, and you hear it in Coming to America, you know, in the opening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He didn't get credited for it. And then somebody writes a song, you know, based off that melody. And the family eventually sued to get copyright. But who they went after wasn't the artist and so forth, or just the songwriter. You know who they went after? Walt Disney, because it was in The Lion King. And the reason why they went after The Lion King was because Walt Disney is what? Walt Disney is a billionaire. They had the money. So that's why they went and targeted them. It's actually in a documentary that I saw on, I think it was on Hulu. And y'all can check it out. I can't think of the name of the documentary, but that is a must see.
That's why I was
Solomon
saying.
Linda.
That's why I was saying go after the money, and people tend to respond a little bit different because if she was killed in the hotel they would say improper security procedures. You know, you don't know who's coming in and out. You don't have cameras because you have all these foreign people coming into this travel area. You have cameras strategically placed, especially after these terrorist attacks. I mean, it's a lot of different ways to go, but you being a lawyer, you know better than I would. You know what I mean? So I won't challenge you on that. But you know, it's sad that we as a people still have not learned that we can't travel everywhere. And everybody that keeps saying they're your friend, if they say they're your friend for 5 minutes, 9 times out of 10, they're not really your friends. Because that video, they beat the crap out of her.
Yeah. The documentary is called The Lion's Share. It's on Netflix, yeah, in 2019. And yeah, The Lion King, yeah, that's where it was. Y'all can check that out. Most definitely. But the guy who wrote that song is Solomon Linda. And the name of it was called Mbu. That's it. Anyway, yeah, and that's how they made The Lion Sleeps Tonight. But yeah, y'all check that out. I'm not gonna waste too much time. On it, guys. But yeah. All right. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Smash up the notification bell. Thank you guys for that. And please drop something in the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle. Brothers, we're gonna move forward. Speaking of document, well, I'm not gonna do that just yet. Let's do this one. As y'all know, there was a mass shooting out in Louisville, Kentucky, earlier this past week on Monday, where body camera footage had been released of the shooting that took place. This happened at a bank out in Louisville, Kentucky. The Louisville Shooter, Connor Sturgeon, shot and killed several people. As a matter of fact, there's been more video footage, more 911 calls released, even from the Louisville bank shooter's mother, calling 911, warning authorities about her son for the note he left. Now, I don't know if you've seen this, but there are actually plans to review the brain of the Louisville shooter. Now, let me play, obviously, the video that we have here. This is coming from WHAS 11. I'm going to play that for y'all right now.
shooter's family is requesting specific medical tests to examine the shooter's brain as part of the investigation. The HSL and Travis Police have announced saying while they want doctors to get past concussion played any kind of factor in this. Travis?
Well, we know from the statement that the family released on Tuesday night that Connor Sturgeon was undergoing some treatment for mental health, anxiety, and depression. But we're now learning that the family wants the state medical examiner to look deeper into this to see if his possible brain injuries could have been a contributing factor. As the investigation continues into Monday's mass shooting, the shooter's family wants all options explored on a possible motive. The shooter, Connor Sturgeon, left a note with his roommate that is now police evidence. The family attorney says he also texted family members, "I love you," minutes before. Sturgeon was working with a psychiatrist and mental health counselor to treat anxiety and depression. He was on medication as treatment. His concussion history now also being investigated. The family says Sturgeon had 3 concussions of significance in middle school and early high school. This photo, courtesy of News and Tribune in New Albany, shows Sturgeon playing basketball with a padded helmet in his senior year. He played football, basketball, and ran track. The family has now asked the state medical examiner to look at Sturgeon's brain to see if CTE or chronic traumatic encephalopathy was a contributing factor.
We see that with professional athletes, but we also see it in high school and college as well. And some people are more sensitive than others.
Dr. Ryan Stanton with Central Emergency Physicians in Lexington says CTE is the result of multiple repeated head injuries. He says it usually takes 10 years to develop in a person, and it is impossible to diagnose while still alive.
Unfortunately, CTE can really only be diagnosed. There's not a real good imaging study that looks and says, hey, you got CTE. It really is honestly a post-mortem with autopsy.
A spokesperson for the state medical examiner has not yet confirmed that these specific brain tests are going on, but that spokesperson said there are several tests and lab results pending the autopsy. She says that those test results could take several weeks to be completed. In the studio, Travis Breeze, WHAS 11 on your side.
All right, so you all saw that. They're going to examine his brain. I have to mute you, Sean, because I keep hearing the buzzing sound on the computer during the video. And I'm looking at this. I do want to share this with you all too. I don't know if you've seen this. Did y'all watch or get a chance to know or look at the body camera footage that was released?
Oh, I haven't seen that.
No?
I haven't seen it.
Harvey?
I've seen it.
I don't want to get flagged for it. Maybe I can show a clip that's courtesy of the news here. But, what we know is that there were at least, I believe, 5 people that were killed. So now what we know about Connor Sturgeon actually
camera video, things of that nature. But that one particular home in the Camp Taylor neighborhood was listed as an address for
Travis Breeze and photojournalist Paul Dunsford were there on the scene when police went inside the home.
LMPD SWAT team rolling up to the Camp Taylor home, 25-year-old Connor Sturgeon, around 2:45 p.m. Monday. Officers knocked loudly and entered with no resistance.
It scares you. You're afraid to, walk your dog or whatever.
People living on Taylor Avenue reacting to the scene downtown and also trying to recall any previous exchanges with Sturgeon.
He does look familiar.
You never spoke to him or waved at him or anything?
Not that I can remember.
To live next door to someone, I can't say nothing bad about the guy. Friendly. I was never scared or or afraid or had fear of them. They're very nice people.
Kira Algier lived right next door to Sturgeon and at least one roommate. We were able to speak with her as soon as police took down the crime scene tape.
Never heard no kind of violence, never heard noise from them. Very respectful.
Yeah.
Probably like your favorite neighbor.
According to News and Tribune in New Albany, Sturgeon was a star track and basketball athlete at Floyd Central High School, and his dad was the coach for a time. We did see one person on the forensics team walking out with a laptop, but that officer would not confirm it was a piece of evidence.
I just don't understand why you want to go hurt people's moms, dads, you know, brother, sister.
The SWAT team did not stay long as police wasted no time to explore all motives in this shooting. Travis Breeze, WHAS 11 on your side.
Now, a spokesperson for the Floyd Central District has not responded to our request for comment, but we'll tell you in an email to families, Floyd Central's principal, Dr. Rob Willman, said that they have several students and staff members who are close to the situation. He adds they will have additional counseling services available today for both students and staff. Coverage of this mass shooting continues this morning, right after GMK. Good morning.
By the way, y'all, they actually stated that they're going to be auctioning off his AR-15. This is according to the mayor of Louisville. Said Connor Sturgeon's AR-15 used in Louisville shooting will be back on the streets, the mayor warns. All right. Sean, well, Harvey, I'll go with you. What do you think of this with regards to his brain being examined for CTE and the shooting?
The parents lawyered up. That's a tactic to make it seem as if he wasn't in control of his thoughts. First of all, let me for full disclosure, you know, everybody been following me know I was in the military. And I was in various explosions and I had concussions. And there are some side effects, you know, speech sometimes my memory. But I've never wanted to harm anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's an excuse that a lot of people use when they family members get caught committing these crimes.
That's like Chris Benoit.
Exactly.
When he was killed, they looked at his brain. Now, they found that his brain was like that of an 80-year-old man. But I guess
most of those people who have the CTE issues are more harmful to themselves than others. This young man in question was pissed off that he was getting let go from a job. That's what happened. They announced last week that he was getting terminated. As soon as they found out, he went and purchased a weapon. A person with mental issues is not going to have that clear thought to do something like that. If he was under counseling and medication, and his counselor didn't notice, because they are trained to notice aggressive signs, okay? Because they just don't creep in your head overnight. What it was, he was an entitled 23-year-old. They got pissed off and he had to go find another job because he felt entitled to it. Okay? Every time these shootings go around, they want to blame mental health. That's an insult to people who actually suffer from mental health issues. Here it is. We got this. I don't want to make it about Kanye, but we don't give him an excuse, and we know he's diagnosed with mental health issue. What everybody say? We don't care. No excuse. So why does this guy go in with a weapon and strategically shoot people and say, "Oh, we want to study his brain"? He knew what he was doing. Because if he was so violent, the neighbor that was just speaking, he would have done harm in the neighborhood at some point. He would have left a line of carnage. He went to his job and he shot people who was his bosses on purpose. One lady, the one sister just started. So, he probably thought, well, they just hired her and let me go. So I'm going to go in and start shooting everybody. They do this time and time again to make excuses for these mass. Let me stop saying mass shootings. They ain't got me saying that shit. These shootings. We grew up, we got fired from jobs. We had bullies. We had bad days. I never wanted to, I wanted to kick my boss's butt. I never wanted to go shoot somebody. Look how they tried to say last week that woman that shot their school because she's transgender, that has something to do with it. No, we have two generations have been feel they entitled. They don't get their way. They want violence. And I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it. It's an insult to people who have mental health issues. Because if that's the case with me with my concussions, I should be a threat to society. And I've been out of the military for years and never wanted to go out here and shoot a place just because.
Yeah. Well, let me say this. The family did indicate that he had mental health issues. As someone who has worked, especially as a criminal defense attorney, we do have clients that come in that are accused of crimes that actually do have. I've worked with people who have schizophrenia. I've worked with people who have. I've seen people who may have mental, by what they call dissociative disorder, split personality. That stuff is real. So that stuff does happen. This, looking at it, I will point out, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is that already the narrative now is about this kid having mental health issues and how that is a factor in CTE. Some of the people we've seen that have CTE, like the NFL players that die, a lot of them end up really not harming each other. To what Harvey's point is, they do. I've seen most of them basically kill themselves. Look at Junior Seau, Dave Durison, a few other men I can't think of, sadly, that die from CTE. Sean, what are your thoughts? Oh, hold on, Sean, you're muted. Go ahead, Sean.
All right, as somebody has studied mass shooters for books like I've written, like The Man Crisis, I have to look at this story and think that this is kind of bogus, because they're trying to spin a story to excuse this white male's behavior, because I've done research on multiple mass shooters, and this individual's behavior doesn't appear to be that of a mentally ill individual. Like Harvey had stated, most mentally ill people do harm to themselves, and that's what I've seen in my research. And when this guy, he looks basically to me like his family wants to try to spin a story to excuse his behavior, because it looks like to me he was one of, like Harvey was saying, a spoiled, entitled beta male who just could not handle the fact that he was fired from a job. And because he was angry about being fired from this job, what he wanted to do was get revenge against his managers for having the audacity to fire him. That's what it looks like to me as related to this case. And his actions don't look like that of a mentally ill individual. No, his actions clearly show some malice of forethought, and they show me a pattern of somebody who clearly understands what they're doing, because this individual, he goes out, buys the AR-15 style rifle. He goes out here and has the mental capacity to purchase this gun legally, 1. 2, he has the mental capacity to go to social media and live stream the murder. And 3, he clearly targets the individuals in management who he has a grievance with. So that's telling me that this is an individual who has a sound mind. And it looks like to me his parents want to try to deny the fact that this beta male clearly was an individual who was looking to participate in mass murder, because we've got to stop calling them mass shootings. We have to call them the mass murderers that they are. And there's clear willful intent to participate in these murders. And this guy basically wanted to participate in these murders because he was not able to keep the job that he had, and because he was angry about being fired, he wanted to hurt those people. And I know how much it hurts to be fired, but I never wanted to hurt anybody. I mean, I lost 2 jobs from terminations, and I just walked out and just kept it moving. But this guy, he again felt entitled to this job, so he felt like he had the justification to murder people, and it's not anybody's right to take anybody's life. So when I look at this individual, his behavior, again, clearly shows intent, and it clears a sound mind, but we have white people looking to give this white male a pass, and that's what we see right here as related to things. I don't think there's any CTE. I don't think there's any mental illness. I just think it's a spoiled male who's looking to find a way to justify his crimes, because when I look at his crimes and compare it to other mass shooters, they all were the quiet, nice guy who nobody thought would do anything until they couldn't get their way. And when they couldn't get their way over something, this is when they would plan their murders. And that's what we see right here, I believe, with this shooter.
Yeah, he did live stream that, which to me that kind of shows intent. Well, not kind of, it shows intent to me. That's malicious. So
He knew what he was doing. That's why I've taken personal, because I do go to counseling. I'm not ashamed to say that, because of the things I had to do while I was in the military. And it does affect you, but I've never once wanted to go out here and harm people. You know, I mean, people screw people over every day in this country. It's a part of life, unfortunately. But the thing is that he went and bought the weapon. That takes thought. You had to go and pick when you go buy a weapon, you had to go pick a weapon, had to get the rounds, you signed for it, you had to go home, put that weapon together, get in your car, drive in. Now, the bank had just opened, so there were customers in there. He said, everybody get out. And then when the co-worker rang, he said, go. He still shot in the back, and then went in the conference room and shot his bosses down. That was intent. And we ever since Columbine, we've been bending over backwards to try to explain why a particular age group, and I'm not saying our age group is perfect, but you didn't hear about this. I mean, here it is. They put metal detectors in our schools. They treat the Black community as if we're the most violent, but yet you don't hear about no quote unquote mass shootings on this level in our communities. You know what I mean? So you have to think about how people are being raised. They're not being raised with sympathy or empathy. And they just want me. If I don't get my way, I'm going to make you suffer. And the media goes along with, just like when they did that shooting in Highland last 4th of July. I already knew it was a white guy, you know, because it's always either white, Asian, Hispanic, or East Indian that do stuff like this. But yet we get painted as the worst of the worst or the most violent. And the thing is that Black people do suffer from traumas, and we don't act out like this. I'm not saying we're perfect. I'm not saying we have our issues, but we never give them the benefit of the doubt once we do something like or something similar. They always go to mental health, but yet politicians don't want to put money behind mental health. If you're so concerned about it, send a counselor to a school or a job after the fact don't mean anything. This is why when people get clapped on for saying defund the police, what they mean is you need psychiatrists on hand, because every time a police get called, it's not always a shoot them up. It's a lot of times it's people mental health issues. But it's an insult to always fall back on that, because there are a lot of people who take medications that don't do none of those things.
The police, I always tell us, especially if it's a mental health issue, the police are not medical technicians. They're not psychiatrists. They're there to see if a crime has taken place. That's essentially what that is. Ladies and gentlemen, rest in power to those individuals that were killed, especially that sister who I don't know if y'all saw this. They said she was 45 and a grandmother.
45 and a grandmother. I'm like, what?
She's on her I think it was her 5th grandchild.
Yeah.
Like, damn. She's beautiful.
Very.
Gorgeous. All right. hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that notification bell. Please donate to the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle if you get an opportunity to do so. Donate and support this channel. All right. I got to bring this up. Had y'all seen, I don't know, y'all don't, I don't know if you watch ESPN. Sean, I don't think you watch TV at all. But did y'all see or hear about Malika Andrews? Harvey, did you hear about her and what happened with Jalen Rose?
I heard some vague about it, but you know, when I start hearing about the women of ESPN, I sort of my brain sort of shuts off. But I heard there's supposed to be Me Too and Jalen Rose or something.
Yeah, well, let's more specifically, a couple of days ago, reportedly they stated that Jalen Rose was fired because Malika Andrews stated or tried to say that he tried to put his hand under her armpit. That's what she said. Get your hand out of my armpit. Now, to my knowledge, Jalen Rose has not been fired, although that has been rumored. But this was on live TV. And I'm going to play a clip exactly of what happened. But y'all know who Malika Andrews is. She tried to do that Me Too stuff on Ume Udoka, who was engaged to Nia Long. And remember, he got busted for cheating, and he actually lost his job for messing with a Boston Celtics employee. But I believe it's been reported that she was the wife. She was married to another exec. And I never forget, Malika Andrews actually went on First Take and tried to get Stephen A. and tried to get at Stephen A. And Stephen A. checked her. And you know, we all know Stephen A. is a Sambo. Stephen A. is the bootlick on ESPN. He even said, I wake up in the morning and the first thing I think of is how I can make my bosses more money and how I get a piece of it. He always has something negative to say about black men. But he checked her to his credit. And sometimes I've seen him speak out. Sometimes. But this happened.
Put his fingers under her armpit. And I just want to say a big shout out to you guys for leaving comments on the video, hitting the like button, and subscribing to my channel, man. Yeah, man, you know, I was going through the comments and I kept seeing a lot of you guys saying like, yo, self-talk, rewatch the video. It was Richard Jefferson that had did that. So let's go back, watch the video, and then I'm going to slow it down. And then let's see if Richard Jefferson was the one who put his fingers in Malika Andrews' armpit. Here's the video.
Get your finger out of my armpit. We're just happy to see Jalen Rose welcoming in the man with the best hair in television. Get your finger out of my armpit. We're just happy to see Jalen Rose welcoming in the man with the best hair in television.
Okay, so let me stop. So you can see clearly Jalen Rose, he has his right hand on her shoulder. Now you can see 4 fingers here. You probably can't see the thumb because it's under Malika's hair. So if his hand is up there, right where we see his shoulder, we're all looking at it, there's no way his fingers could be, not even his thumb, could be under her armpit based off the way I'm looking at this picture. Am I right? Am I right? Guys?
You're right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's no way he could have done that.
Now, Richard Jefferson is behind both Jalen Rose and Malika Andrews. Now, Brother Self-Talk was pausing the video. I'm going to keep playing it. And you're going to see it appears Richard Jefferson is the one that put his hand up.
Finger out of my armpit. Get your finger out of my armpit. We're just happy to see Jalen Rose welcoming in the man with the best hair in television. Get your finger out of my armpit. We're just happy to see Jalen Rose welcoming in the man with the best hair in television.
Sure to hit that like button for me if you haven't already. That helps this YouTube channel continue to grow. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, stay up to date with all of my current YouTube videos. Peace.
And after rewatching the video in slow motion, I have to agree with you guys. Richard Jefferson was the one who put his fingers in Malika Andrews' armpit. And that explains the reason why I titled my video the way I did, because it's like, yo, when Jalen Rose went to Instagram Live and he had came out and responded to the allegations.
Malika Andrews is like my little sister. She from the Bay. Like my other sister, Amina Hussein, who's a producer at Amazon that's like my sister, that worked at ESPN, that got me on NBA Countdown. And let me tell y'all something that's very, very direct and clear, so ain't no gray area. First off, you damn right I hug my sister, because I'm a real one, I'm a boss, and I'm a G. Next, I didn't put my finger under her armpit. If you look at the picture, I only got 5, and they on her shoulder.
Richard Jefferson and Malika Andrews clearly seen how serious that was for Jalen Rose, right? It was so serious for him that he had to come out and go on Instagram Live and explain how he was not the one who had touched her.
Now,
Hair and television. Get your finger out.
now I gotta talk about this. So let me stop the video. But you guys know Kwame Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Kwame Brown has had his issues, of course, with Stephen A. Smith, but he went at Malika Andrews on his live stream talking about her because women like her basically are dangerous. Now, I'm gonna play the rest of it.
In your armpit. You trying to make a black man.
I want to give Kwame.
But that.
And I'm gonna play this courtesy of Brother Self Talk.
The video.
But that type of woman that Malika Andrews is, she is a representation of the worst type of woman in the world, in my opinion. You want to have an opinion on everything, you want to talk about everything, but then you want to tip the scale to where this feminist bullshit is ruling. Jalen Rose did not put his hand in your armpit, ma'am. And if that was something that he did and you thought he did, and this man revealed you as his sister, then you might have wanted to talk to your brother off camera. Y'all better be careful about these women like this, that's married to this white man, but always talking about black men and always disrespecting black men. You know what, Malika? We've never heard you say nothing about Dana White slapping his wife over and over again. How come we never heard that, ma'am? How come you always attacking black men and always trying to make sure a black man is in line? Who paying you to do that, ma'am? Oh, I forgot. We already know. You don't have the same energy for Brett Favre. You don't have the same energy for nobody else but black men, ma'am. You are not my kind of woman. I would never go nowhere near a woman like you. And for all you that think that's fine, that's ugly as hell to me. Ain't no way to a woman that is a direct detriment to a man is a good thing. I look at you all, I don't care how fine you are, you're disgusting to me. Now, it's already bad enough that there's some up men out here. But you're going to take away from good brothers like Jalen Rose that done built a goddamn school for kids? That's disgusting. They always attack the good guys. She ain't out there on no street corner talking about the drug dealers ain't shit. She ain't out there talking to the rappers saying what they doing ain't shit. You out there trying to fuck with Jalen Rose, a man who built a school in Detroit and what he meant for that city? What the hell is wrong with you? Women like you disgust me. Because you tear down good brothers that got to deal with a system that's already fucked up. Because not near one of them rappers, Kevin Gates, or any one of them men that live like men will give a fuck about what you saying. And you know it. So you tear down good brother. And you know it. Tearing down good men won't help anything. Tearing down good men do not make you strong. It's a damn shame how they got some of these women over-exaggerating things that happen. Your behavior sucks. sitting around here trying to be a victim. What the hell would Jalen Rose get out of putting his finger in your armpit? You trying to make a black man look like a weirdo? You disgust me, Malika Adams. Whatever your goddamn name is. I hope I'm saying the right name. Whatever the girl's name is, I don't even want to say a name no more.
Say no more, Kwame. He screwed it up. It was Malika Andrews. I've always the same person that pays Stephen A. Yeah, ESPN. So I've heard. So report. I should say go back. Reportedly appeared that Richard Jefferson was the one that did that. But to my knowledge, and based off what I've looked at, Malika Andrews, neither Malika Andrews nor Richard Jefferson have clarified what happened. Jalen Rose obviously went on IG and at the comment, he stated that it was fake news that he was being fired. So nothing has happened. But it caught on, obviously, because I think of Malika Andrews' reputation over at ESPN, especially among brothers, and how she comments on black men. A lot of people take note and rush to it. Sean, I'll start with you.
Well, it looks like to me you've got one of these women who just likes to start a lot of drama, a crap starter. And this is why men have to go out here and adhere to things like what they call the Mike Pence rule, what I call professional distance. And you maintain professional distance because women like this, what they want to do is create an incident where they can make an allegation of something like sexual harassment. And they do this so that they can go out here and get a payday from whatever company they're working at the expense of your reputation. And most smart men, they don't even go putting any hands near any of these women. No, they keep their professional distance, and they keep their professional distance because this is how you keep your job in many cases. You don't go anywhere around any type of woman like this and give them any sort of opportunity to go out here and try to make an allegation that they know is clearly false. Now, in this case, we have the video evidence that shows that this man never touched this woman inappropriately, and he's lucky he has that, because what these women love to do is create he said, she said situations in order to go out here and get themselves a cash settlement, all while they'll put your reputation at risk. And I believe ESPN, now that we know that this female is a liar, it's time for them to get rid of her or put her in another position. Usually when you have a woman like this who likes to start trouble like this, you need to maintain your professional distance. And that's been a policy I had even when I was in high school during the Clarence Thomas days when they made allegations against him. I said back then that my policy is to maintain professional distance where I never in a situation where I can be alone with one of these women, because a lot of these women, they are not really looking to go out here and look out for you. They're looking to get an opportunity for themselves so that they can get paid as related to a corporate settlement. And that's what this woman was trying to pull right here. And this is why you maintain your professional distance. I would have never put a hand on that woman at all, sister or not. When it comes down to the job, I just see you as another coworker, and I don't bring my feelings to the job because you are another coworker and you're another coworker looking for an opportunity, and I'm not going to give you that opportunity. And this guy, he really needs a good talking to about how to handle yourself, because in this era of Me Too, you've got to change your rules of engagement. You've got to change those rules, because you can't engage these kind of women or any woman on the job, because any engagement can turn into an allegation that could lead to the end of your career and tarnish your professional reputation.
Yeah. Even Corey Holcomb went in on her, which he doesn't hold his thumb. But I remember when they made Jalen Rose apologize for going at defending. Well, he wasn't defending Emi Udoka, but essentially what was kind of. But he was essentially asking why wasn't the girl named, but Emi Udoka was the only one that was named in it if it was a consensual relationship. And they made him apologize during a commercial over at ESPN. So that tells you what's going on there. Harvey.
I really do think they're trying to get rid of Jalen. And I just, it just seemed too obvious to me. But I think guys got to start doing the thing that Keanu Reeves do. When he take pictures, his hands are off. Because I'm like Sean said, it don't take much to accuse men nowadays of being a sexual harasser. I mean, when Sean brought Clarence Thomas, I remember that. I remember through the nights, like everything turned around, some guy was getting accused of sexual harassment, except the guys that was actually doing the harassment. And then the Me Too, and then I guess we skipped a decade, and all of a sudden the women that was in the 90s out there doing and saying everything, they hit a wall. Now all of a sudden they're victims. And I'm not saying that women are not harassed at work, because we've seen it, we've been around it before. But a lot of good men, livelihoods, and reputations have been destroyed just by allegation. Because once you get accused, whether you did it or not, you're screwed. You know, and my thing is, this sister, she thinks she's more than what she is, in my personal opinion. You know, and I'm gonna say this to any guy. Today, I wouldn't get caught standing next to a woman. I would have my hands behind my back or to the side like they have in the military, because you can't even look at a woman now without them saying, he looked at me weird. He undressed me with his eyes. I mean, if they can go after Bill Cosby on hearsay, we ain't got a chance as the average dude. They've weaponized their femininity. Now, like I said, and I don't want to sound sexist, but it seemed like spaces that men once dominated, that as soon as they let women into, it like the women want to dominate them spaces now by saying, hey, we don't want the men to have these jobs. Let's go out and get rid of them. How you get rid of them? He harassed me. He said this to me. It's like every time you turn around, it's some type of story coming out about some guy doing something. And like I said, there are guys out here that do stuff. But once you get accused of it as a black man, you're done. Look at Jonathan Majors. Look how fast people came out on him. And then when it came out that it was video approved in the text messages, everybody went silent. But the damage is done. Because if he get accused again, he's screwed. Look at Nate Parker. I mean, look at all these different brothers. And it's always black men. White guys can be up on you with their hands all over you. They can hug you. They can, and you can see it on TV. They can masturbate in front of these women, nothing said. But a brother does something, he look at you funny. Oh, sexual harassment. Oh, you invaded my space. You better start doing Keanu Reeves. What's his name? Keanu talking about. We just said it.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. Keep your hands where they can see them. Because I remember a few years ago, what's her name? Taylor Swift sued a guy because she alleged that the guy touched her backside, and the guy lost.
Remember what Taylor Swift, and she said a guy touched her backside?
Yeah, what happened was it was a picture. Here's some DJ, and they was doing, I guess she was in town. You know how they take pictures with the celebrities backstage?
Right.
And she waited, I think, a year or two. And then she said, oh, he touched me inappropriately. And the guy's like, he didn't do it, but because you don't see his other hand, you can set up a narrative. That's why Keanu Reeves, every time he take a picture, people made a big thing about this. He don't touch a woman. I don't blame him nowadays, because I don't want to go to jail, lose my reputation over some alleged incidents, because all it takes is one. And then whether you did it or not, you're screwed.
Just the reputation of it is done. Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Majors too, and look at what happened with him. They had people coming out from Harvard when he was at Harvard saying, oh, he always been this stuff. And you ain't never heard, they never talked about this when his career was starting off. They only brought it up when he had charges assessed on him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but definitely Malika Andrews she's a coconut. I used to call her Oreo. She's white on the inside, black on the outside.
But she's always saying something.
She's always talking greasy. Yeah. But they have ESPN, as you already know, just like some of these other sports channels, when they have, and I may hurt some feelings, but they have women on there let's be real. There are some, I'm not going to say that women aren't legit. There are a few, but they use them as eye candy. sex sales.
Yeah.
I remember when Molly Querim was on NFL Network, and she used to wear Jalen Rose's ex-wife, and she used to wear short dresses and skirts. And I remember there was an incident, Tariq Nasheed put it up, where she's bending over, saying sexually suggestive stuff to the guy to hike the ball. And then when they had LeVar Ball on ESPN, and he says, you can switch gears with me anytime, they used that to ban him from the network.
Well, look at Fox. Look at the viewership for Fox. It's a reason why those women are always wearing the dresses. This is why they don't sit in front of desks, because they get a little peep shows. Because every now and then you can see whether or not the carpet matched the drapes, if you get my meaning. Because I remember when I was in the Army, this old man was he was getting excited in public because he thought he was at home because he was watching Fox in the sick call hall. I kid you not. That was the most disgusting thing I ever saw. And they know it. Roger Ailes, not the late Roger Ailes, but Roger Ailes and Rupert Murdoch know that. Like you said, sex sells. If you don't believe me, all I gotta do is look at your other person. They put these women in these tight tops. They go, or they have them pose their bodies to the side and make it like they skinny. They stick their chests out. We already peaked the game. But the thing is, they push that, but then when a guy looks or responds, now you're a pervert. You just showed off your sexuality. Because let me be honest with you, when I do watch sports, I ain't looking at the players when they talk. You looking at the women. Why you think beer commercials, women run around bikinis and stuff? Why you think volleyball
Not
games?
anymore.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah. But but think about the volleyball games. Women wearing those, you see their ass cheeks and all that. Even when the Olympics, when they doing all the somersaults, the first thing people do, now these are young women. First thing they look at is their body, they behind stuff. They sexualize, and women know it. And it's like, if damn if you do, damn if you don't thing. Me, I'd rather play it safe and keep my hands and keep my opinions to myself.
Yeah. But be safe out there, brothers. Do the Keanu thing. Take a picture, hands up.
That's the safest place to be.
Safest thing to do. Yeah, I know sometimes in the workplace people get friendly and stuff, but try and distance. You want to protect yourselves.
But most people get together in the workplace. That's the thing. Men and women going to interact with each other. And most women are the aggressors at the job. Man, if I could tell you some of the stories, man, this podcast be rated X-rated, man. Trust me.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Jalen Rose. Oh, all them women at ESPN getting in trouble. Divorced Molly Querim and now Malika. Married Molly. He popped the Molly, now he sweat. Woo! Get that. And speaking of beer, we're getting down to our last two topics, but Anheuser-Busch has, when you go woke, you go broke, as Sean James would say, because he will take a critical examination of this next topic. Now, what happened is that Budweiser has done some ads with Dylan Mulvaney, who is a transgender activist. And subsequently to that, when news of that happened, apparently everybody went to Coors Light, because now Anheuser-Busch has lost more than $5 billion value over this ad. And I'm going to play it. I don't even know how this is a commercial, but this is what they put up.
Hi. Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud Light for us. So, I kept hearing about this thing called March Madness, and I thought we were all just having a hectic month, but it turns out it has something to do with sports. And I'm not sure exactly which sport, but either way, it's a cause to celebrate. This month, I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever,
They had to pause it on this commercial. Yeah, even New York Post didn't want it. They don't want their stock to fall.
Wow.
They stopped the video. Yeah, we don't want this messing up our views out. So what happened is that Anheuser-Busch, who owns Bud Light, and I believe Anheuser-Busch is not even in the United States. Well, no, they are in the United States, but they're headquartered, I believe, in Europe. I could be wrong. But essentially, they've lost $5 billion in value as a result of it. And according to this article, it states that since March 31st, shares of Bud Light's parent company have fallen by nearly 4%, knocking down the company's market capitalization from $132.38 billion to $127.13 billion on Wednesday. Anheuser-Busch stock fizzled more than 1.5%. The company is dealing from a fallout with conservatives over its deal with Mulvaney, who is a 26-year-old transgender influencer with more than 10 million followers on social media. Mulvaney fired back at critics Tuesday, accusing them of bullying her because, quote, she's an easy target. Mulvaney stated, the reason that I think I'm an easy target is because I'm new to this. I think going after a trans woman that's been doing this for like 20 years is a lot more difficult. I think maybe they think there's some sort of chance with me, but what is their goal? The Mulvaney endorsement deal even saw Kid Rock shoot up several cans, that racist prick. Now listen to this. Mulvaney is reportedly pulling in more than $1 million in sponsorship deals with several big name brands, including Nike and Kate Spade. So I'm trying to figure out I went to school, I became a professional, I became a lawyer, and I'm not even making six figures. I mean, of course it varies, but I'm trying to get the idea how, first off, to be an influencer, how you can make all of this money. You don't even have to go to school anymore. And I'm trying to figure out why and how this person makes $1 million in endorsements. Now, Anheuser-Busch was founded in St. Louis, Missouri. And I believe, yes, they own Budweiser, they own Michelob, they own Stella Artois. Stella Artois, I'm sorry. I said Artois. Stella Artois, yeah, that's a silent. I should know that. Beck's. At one point, remember, they actually had Busch Entertainment Corporation where they own the theme parks. So you look at this, their stock has taken a hit. Many people are upset. Now, this sort of reminds me, I don't know if you all remember this, but remember they had the Gillette commercials back in 2020, I believe in 2019, around that time, where they started to have Me Too. They did a Me Too commercial with Gillette. And if you recall, ladies and gentlemen, that's Kid Rock shooting out the Bud Light cans. And somebody wrote, Megyn Kelly lashed out at the non-breasted Mulvaney deal with Nike. Nike sponsoring Dylan Mulvaney now for wearing a effing sports bra. I'm sorry, Dylan doesn't have breasts. Man, so this is crazy. So people are responding to that. And I don't really. I drink Bud Light, but I'm not even a big beer drinker myself. But if you all remember the Gillette commercial, this kind of reminds me of that. Remember, Gillette had the Me Too, and they lost a lot of money from this video. And I'm gonna just see if I could just show it right quick so everybody can see, because Gillette is the biggest sponsor, the biggest consumer of Gillette razors is who? It's men. Just like with beer, straight heterosexual men, like yours truly, like beer. They do not like, men traditionally do not like agendas being pushed down their throats when they're trying to drink beer. That's just the bottom line. And Gillette had the toxic masculinity commercial, which I'm trying to find. Yeah, that was 4 years ago. And it's not even on here anymore. Let me see. I don't even think it's on here anymore.
More than likely, they probably removed it.
They removed it because it had so many dislikes.
Bullying.
The Me Too movement. Sexual
Toxic
harassment.
masculinity.
Maybe that multi-billion-dollar corporation selling overpriced razors is right.
Is this the best a man can get?
That was okay, so this is a mockumentary, but Sean, yeah, this was
a Gillette razor ad, and not a single man is seen shaving.
The Me Too movement against sexual
Toxic
harassment.
masculinity.
The 90-second ad shows men and boys behaving badly, bullying, and hassling women.
Who's the daddy?
The excuse?
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
Then the commercial asks the question,
Is this the best a man can get?
The ad goes on to show good guys stepping in.
Not cool. Not cool. Smile, sweetie. Come on.
And stepping up.
To say the right thing. There will be no going back.
It's been seen more than 6 million times and is Gillette's reaction to the Me Too movement.
What I actually think she's trying to say.
If Gillette wanted a reaction, it's getting it, both for and against. Thousands of people have hit the dislike button on Facebook.
I have a problem, a real problem, with what I believe to be this new kind of war on masculinity.
Devon Franklin is the author of the upcoming book, The Truth About Men.
When I saw that ad, I thought it was brave. I thought it's in line with the work that we as men have to do. And I think some people see it, they get threatened, they think it's a pointing the finger, but it's not.
The women of The View were split.
I think based on what I saw, what they're basically saying is don't be a jerk. Be a jerk.
Do I need a shaving company to tell me that?
No, it was showing Whoopi Goldberg. They always go to her. No, what they were showing is what they were trying to show is the worst a man can get, and they used that basically to go at straight men. But what did you think? What do you think of this thing with Bud Light, Sean? Because you did a video I remember on Gillette. We've talked about this before. We had a powerful conversation about corporations and how they try to use these ads now to go at straight people.
I think this is another ad like the one that Gillette made where they're trying to push an agenda. And this time they want to push another agenda at straight men to accept these alphabet, I don't know what they are, but they're trying to push the agenda that we have to accept these individuals. And most men, they don't want any politics as related to the products that we buy. I mean, when I saw that Gillette ad, I started buying Target brand razors because I don't really like what Gillette was doing, pushing this agenda, trying to promote this narrative talking about toxic masculinity, when it's usually, from my research, most of the beta males who are out here participating in the so-called toxic masculinity, like bullying and harassment. It's usually the beta males that were raised by the women that participate in this kind of behavior. But what they want to do is push an agenda to try to attack natural masculinity, and they want to try to make it like black men, not black men, but men in general are the bad guys. And what they want to do is make it where the man is appearing to be the villain as related to bad behavior. But again, it's not usually the regular men were raised by fathers who act like this. Usually most men were raised by fathers who understand the concept of boundaries. And most men who are raised by fathers don't act like this. Again, usually it's the guys raised by the single mothers and usually the guys raised by the beta male fathers who act like this. but they won't talk about that as related to their ads about the Me Too movement and toxic masculinity, nor will they talk about it as related to the promotion of the alphabet agenda. Now, this alphabet agenda, again, is something that they want to push as related to these products like this Bud Light. Now, I'm not a drinker. I don't drink at all, but I can understand why many people who buy Bud Light would be upset, because, again, this is disrespectful to those people who buy Bud Light to just try to throw an agenda at them. People don't want politics with their products. No, they just want to be able to enjoy their products and just enjoy the products that are presented. And when you throw agendas at people like many of these companies do, people just tune out and don't want anything to do with your product. And this is why Anheuser-Busch is losing money the same way Gillette wound up losing a bunch of money pushing this social justice agenda. It doesn't go out here and get you new customers. What they think they're doing is getting attention from people who will hate watch the ad. But what's happening is people are responding by saying, okay, you want to push an agenda, then I will walk away from your products. The same way I walked away from products as related to Gillette. And I also walked away from ABC TV when they started pushing alphabet agendas. Whenever you push products with agendas, that's when men especially walk away from those products, because again, a man only wants to just enjoy the product and enjoy the product based on the merits of what the product is made of.
All right, Sean. Thank you very much, Harvey.
First of all, people straight up gay and drinking beer. I don't drink, like Sean said, I don't drink either. But do I think that people are going overboard shooting like Kid Rock and them? Yeah. I think it's kind of petty. If you don't agree with it, just don't support the company anymore. But I think Anheuser-Busch, what they was doing is they're chasing dollars. Because right now, the thing is to want to be seen as a partner with these particular communities. But my thing is, if you notice, the trans community has been very silent about this. For a community said that they're not getting properly represented, they've been really silent about this. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like they really don't want the attention. Anheuser-Busch was chasing dollars. That's what it was. And it's backfired on them because it does look like that you're trying to promote an agenda. I'm not saying that they don't have the right to drink the beer. I mean, that's stupid. You have no way of knowing who's drinking your product. But it's just something about this seem like there's nothing else to talk about and people are pushing this. You know, it just something about it just seemed very forced to me. It just people pouring out
right. I say the same thing.
Pardon me?
I said, yeah, it just seems forced.
It seems forced. It's like it's like Anheuser-Busch did something. Because I'm gonna tell you, give it 3 months, nobody gonna be thinking about this. Mm-hmm. It's a slow news cycle. If everybody's angry about Anheuser-Busch getting somebody, see the influence. This is a big thing, being an influence if you're white. It's a big thing because you got a lot of no-name people making millions of dollars giving free advertisement to a product that people more likely probably never bought. I mean, Anheuser-Busch, they put the person's picture on the can. They knew what they was doing. I mean, when they put the person picture on the can, that means they've been watching this person for a minute. And then this person is endorsing sports bra. I mean, these companies are not stupid. But my thing is that what we should be really talking about is people in the trans community, you know, picking and choosing certain subjects to get angry about. They're not consistent enough for me. That's just me. But this whole Anheuser-Busch thing, it just feels forced for some reason. It just, I don't know. It seems like I really do think Anheuser-Busch know what they're doing. And they getting the desired reaction. But the thing is, the trans community is not out there arguing about all the attacks, because the Kid Rock thing, you can take that as a threat. You know, shooting a gun, and then you had Ted Nugent out here. I mean, it's the same people doing the same shtick all the time. I mean, I don't know. This is just, I don't know. I can't get too upset about it because it just seemed forced to me for some reason.
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely forced. It's definitely an agenda. I mean, people can protest by you're not putting on that, going on TikTok and saying what they state. They can do it by their dollars, by not supporting it, by not buying it. Yeah, everybody, they all straight or gay, drinks beer and so forth. But I think what everybody responding, and especially with conservatives and people who are men, it's just like it's just like Sean pointed out with the Gillette commercial, is that you have consumers. Your primary base, yes, everybody can drink beer, but Harvey, you got to remember, straight is just like with the NFL and NBA. White men are the biggest consumers of sports. In that they by that they're the ones that buy the suites when they go, the NFL games, you see them in the suites, you see them as a season ticket holders, and same thing with the NBA and other sports. They like that stuff. Now, that's not to say that, of course, black people don't like it. We do. Other groups of people still like it, but they are the primary consumers and buyers of it. So, as a business person, does this make sense? Just like with Gillette, if you're trying to if you're talking about straight men, especially when you're trying to cater to this Me Too platform, do you think that helps you make money and it's going to hurt your brand? To me, and the answer to that clearly is yes. It's the proof is in the stocks falling like that. Yes, they have now today. And it's the same thing with Gillette because Gillette's now owned by Procter Gamble. They have people, especially I think a lot of these Gen Zs, who are wanting to cater to certain groups and what's trending. And this type of LGBTQ is trending. So yeah, I do think that yes, they want to appeal to this, but remember this too, Harvey and Sean. The transgender community only make up for like less than 0.03% in America. Less than 3% of the population of the United States identifies as gay and lesbian. So it's a very small minority, but you have a very powerful militant group that has put this agenda, this issue, on the ballot for the United States. This is the number one issue. It's more important than homelessness. It's more important than military. It's more important than medical. The number one thing that was trending in America just a few years ago is whether or not a man who's born a woman can use the restroom or not. Now we're talking about playing sports too.
I think Anheuser-Busch is making a calculated risk, and you mentioned something. It's about money, and there's a reason why the gay community has been able to change people's minds in less than 50 years towards how people view homosexuality. Remember, in the Obama years, they put the rainbow flag colors on the White House. The Supreme Court changed their whole. I think at the time it was a little bit more balanced. Every week somebody's coming out gay or bisexual or transsexual or trisexual. It's the end thing that Anheuser-Busch is making a calculated risk because they went to this particular person as an influencer. Like I said, they put that person's image on a can for a reason because they know that's a demographic that's going to go out. They look for young beer drinkers. Think about it. Somebody's 18, 19, 21 who's want to say, I'm bisexual. They're going to say, oh, you got to the club. Let's get a Budweiser. Let's get some Anheuser-Busch. That's what they're doing. Just like when they did the Gillette did the Me Too thing, they're making a calculation. Now, in 6 months, I guarantee nobody will be talking about this. I guarantee you when the 4th of July come along, people that talk about they ain't buying Bud no more, they're going to be buying Bud. Watch. And you hit the nail on the head about men who buy, they don't want to see that. White men in particular, because they feel that their manhood is going to be questioned if they get caught drinking that beer, which is crazy. You know what I mean? I mean, in the black community, we see these things, either we buy it or we don't. But you notice the faces who are making a big stink about it are not us. You know, like I said, I think people making a big thing out of something. I think Anheuser-Busch was making a calculation about new drinkers and where the money's going to come from. That's just the way I see it. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, I just think, well, I mean, they taking a real calculated risk for a very small group.
True.
And, you know, you never want to hurt as a business person, like, you never want to hurt your core audience, especially, it's kind of like, you know, it's, I guess a way to look at it, look at Motown. They were R&B, they did R&B and pop, but it was still based within soul. So groups could cross over, like the Temptations, the Four Tops, the Miracles and stuff, but they never lost its core audience. I guess that's a way to look at it. All right. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. We're on our way. This is the last topic I got to talk about. Somebody's mama is shaking in their Daisy Dukes now. A bunch of mamas and aunties are shaking in their Daisy Dukes over this Freaknik doc that's got people going crazy. I mean, my goodness. Uncle Luke even had to respond because Luke Campbell, Duda Brown, is producing this documentary. Now, it's about Freaknik, which was out in Atlanta, which was the party. Well, it was Freaknik that took place in the 90s. So,
Hulu is about to.
Obviously, they're upset. They're nervous about the doc because they don't want their secrets exposed.
Be in trouble. Did y'all see Hulu is about to release a documentary about 94 Freaknik? Yes, 1994 Freaknik. Yes, they are about to release a documentary. So, I'm just now. I've been to several Freakniks. 94 was one that I attended. So I'm just praying that Jesus be a fence. I'm praying that Jesus just be a big, tall privacy fence. That's my prayer. This Easter, this Good Friday. That's my prayer. So, I will say this though. Like when they would bring out those video cameras and start recording, I immediately removed myself from the that situation. I never ever was okay with being recorded out there. So hopefully that worked to my benefit, but you never know. You never know. So the only thing I got is if you see your girl in the documentary, hey man.
Do the brown. I like how Luke is looking in the corner.
I'm pretty sure you got a bunch of stories to share.
Thing I got.
Yeah.
The only thing I got is if you see your girl in the documentary, hey man.
I'm sorry, I gotta pause it. I'm apparently not getting the video. But all right, I gotta say this now. So that was Uncle Luke, and I'm trying to remember who else is producing this as well. It's gonna be on Hulu. They're focusing on the 94.
Jermaine Dupri is also doing as well.
Jermaine Dupri. That's who I was gonna say. Jermaine Dupri. Jermaine Dupri is doing it as well.
No. So the only thing I got is if you see your girl in the documentary, hey man, at least I'm fully clothed. At least all my clothes is on. That's all I got.
There's a picture of her.
That's the best I got. But yeah, y'all, they about to put our business out in the street. Some of us might be on TV.
As the new saying is, what's done in the dark, ultimately it's streamed. All right.
So get your parental controls together, and I don't know, y'all. I don't know.
What am I in the kitchen cooking up now?
So me and Jermaine Dupri got together to present to the world Freaknik. And all you motherfuckers are nervous. Hey, all of y'all who went to Black College Weekend in Daytona Beach, don't laugh. You can get got too.
Nah. I mean, Uncle Luke, he don't care because he was into all of that stuff back in the day. He made it known. But I got to talk about this. Tariq Rashid had this, but y'all saw who I'm going to be talking about is an old friend of ours, ladies and gentlemen. None other than yours truly. Hold on. Why is this taking so long? Damn it.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about because I'm going to do a commentary.
Don't get ahead of me. Don't get ahead of me, Harvey.
Oh, I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to let you do your introduction.
Why is this? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what's something going on with my computer when I'm trying to load this crap.
We're experiencing technical difficulties.
Oh, I got it. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Guess who's next? On a network you still aren't watching. Drum roll, please, gentlemen. Moist Lamont Chill.
On this video from the
y'all pay attention to what Shill has to say about Freaknik 1994. Pay very close attention to what he has to say.
of noise is being made about this Freaknik documentary. A whole bunch of people talking about whose names and faces and voices and bodies are going to show up on this video from the 90s. And most of the conversation is about whether or not women will be exposed on this documentary, whether people's mamas and girlfriends and wives and daughters are going to show up in a Freaknik documentary. And I hear you. But that's the wrong issue. Look, I was outside in the 90s. I've been to Freaknik as an aspiring young journalist covering the story, of course. And when I was there, I saw what was happening. It's not just about women being half naked. It's not about women's hypersexuality. No, Freaknik is about men ogling, men fondling. Freaknik had a lot to do with male hypermasculinity and sexual violence. Freaknik is a rape fest. It is a sexual assault fest. That's not the only thing going on out there. I'm not trying to demonize or pathologize black people, but if we're talking about the worst parts of Freaknik, it wasn't about the actions of women. It was about the disgusting actions of us men. And so when you watch Freaknik, you don't need to be worried about mama, daughter, sister, girlfriend. You need to be worried about brother, son, husband, or yourself, and whether or not you were engaged in some of the worst parts of patriarchal culture, whether you were part of the worst parts of rape culture and misogyny and sexual violence. When we talk about Freaknik and the way we talk about Freaknik, it's a representation of all the problems we have in a society.
I'm sorry, I'll have to step out for a second. But did y'all hear what he said?
Yeah.
Y'all heard what he said?
Yeah, I heard that, but it's not nonsense.
He said this is rape culture. He said the men gotta fear this too. But here's the other thing. Let's rewind it. Let me play it again. Look what he said about it. Freaks. Listen to what he said.
A whole bunch of people talking about whose names and faces and voices and bodies are going to show up on this video from the 90s. And most of the conversation is about whether or not women will be exposed on this documentary, whether people's mamas and girlfriends and wives and daughters are going to show up in a Freaknik documentary. And I hear you. But that's the wrong issue. Look, I was outside in the 90s. I've been to Freaknik as an aspiring young journalist covering the story.
Y'all heard that? I've been to Freaknik as an aspiring young journalist. Who was trying to listen to Mark Lamont Hill in the 90s?
This dude.
There was no Brio in the 90s. There was no Black News Channel.
He went down there looking for some dudes. That's what it is. Let's keep it real. This guy is so anti-black male. I mean, remember when Dr. Frances Crowellson passed on, how she wasn't even gone an hour and he was crapping on her. This guy makes me sick. This dude is trying to paint black men as savages. First of all, the women are sweating bullets because the last 2 years they went to this Me Too, Time's Up, Silent Breaker type mindset, like, oh, we didn't do any of these things. And I kept saying in my videos, I said, don't people remember the 80s and the 90s? I mean, Freaknik got so bad, they had to stop it for a few years, if I'm not mistaken, because it was so much stuff going on down there. And then some went to Florida doing it. And I think of what it is. A lot of these women say here and act like they was angels, and now stuff's coming to light. And I think it's sort of payback to the Me Too movement. I really do think that Luther and Jermaine said, okay, come on, we got the receipts. We know what was going on, not just in Atlanta, but across the country. We used to read the magazines and see the pictures on the news and stuff with women doing all kinds of crazy things. And I guess with that R. Kelly thing, how they made it like R. Kelly and all these guys and Bill Cosby, these women don't want to get told on. That's what they're nervous about, because let's keep it real. There are a lot of women out here who are more sexually adventurous than men. They willing to do any and everything, and then start to say, who, me, little old me? No, But Mark Lamont Hill, he need his butt whooped for this, because he's trying to paint it as this black men are predators, and this is dangerous.
Right, and I just want to point this. I'm glad you brought up the R. Kelly thing, because all of these documentaries that are coming up, it was brought up to my attention I was listening to Tariq Nasheed broadcast on this, and a caller mentioned that Hulu has a documentary right now where they're talking about Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion. So you notice at Hulu, if I'm not mistaken, is owned in part by Walt Disney. They're owned by the majority. No, they are owned. Majority is owned by Disney, and the other is Comcast, NBC Universal. Now that's why you notice a lot of NBC shows are on Hulu. That's because it gets through them. And Walt Disney owns 67% of Hulu. These streaming companies. Here's another thing. You see all of this, guys. All these streaming companies. It's like when we talked about Sean too, with the 1996 Telecommunications Act that allowed all of these major corporations to basically buy up so many different companies, buy up the competition. They're a giant, they're a conglomerate. And you look at this fool, Moise Lamont Shield, for him to be up here trying to basically create a Me Too thing in the 90s. Even when you look at the pictures, I've seen some of the Freaknik pictures. The women were doing this, were enjoying themselves. The women were smiling up. You saw it? Just like that. They were out there, just like the men were out there to get some cooch. You don't think the girls were out there to get some dick? I'm not saying that even if that stuff didn't happen. I mean, you don't see a documentary. I mean, look at Lollapalooza. Look at Woodstock, Sturgis, Girls Going Wild. They do the same things. Mark Lamont Hill is not going to do a story on that. He wants to talk about free
story, of course. And when I was there, I saw what was happening. It's not just about women being half naked. It's not about women's hypersexuality. No, Freaknik is about men ogling, men fondling. Freaknik had a lot to do with male hypermasculinity and sexual violence. Freaknik is a rape fest. It is a sexual assault fest. That's not the only thing going on out there. I'm not trying to demonize or pathologize black people, but if we're talking about the worst parts of Freaknik, it wasn't about the actions of women. It was about the disgusting actions of us men. And so So when you watch Freaknik, you don't need to be worried about mama, daughter, sister, girlfriend. You need to be worried about brother, son, husband, or yourself, and whether or not you were engaged in some of the worst parts of patriarchal culture, whether you were part of the worst parts of rape culture and misogyny and sexual violence. When we talk about Freaknik and the way we talk about Freaknik, it's a representation of all the problems we have in a society.
Oh, damn. Judge even told me Freaknik was about had a lot of gay stuff in it. Judge told me over the phone that Sean is sitting there being quiet. Computer robots, say computer robots. Our Sean is sitting there being quiet. He's thinking about something. I know my man was going to say something. Sean, say something.
Well, not much to say. I mean, this whole Freaknik thing is just a lot of skeleton bones coming out on a lot of people. A lot of people were out here in the 90s. They were out here participating in this sexual promiscuity. And as they participated in this sexual promiscuity, they thought that these secrets would go and be with them until they died, until they decided to go dig these skeleton bones up. Now, a lot of these women that are being exposed to be hypocrites with this Me Too movement. A lot of those women wanted to come out here and try to rewrite their stories. I've talked about this many times in multiple videos about how many of these women want to rewrite their stories and make themselves out to be the good girl, when back in the 90s they were out here going to these Freakniks, and they were going to these Freakniks basically because they were looking to go out here and get with some of these guys on the low, and they were hoping that none of these stories would ever come back to them. And many more are hoping that many of these stories don't come back to them because many of their children were conceived at these Freakniks, and they don't want the story to come out. And again, we got both men and women, but your Mark Lamont show don't want to talk about how it was also the women going to these things, because women have been going to these types of events like ever since spring break. I mean, that's how we got the Girls Gone Wild with the white girls. That's how we got a lot of girls out here doing all sorts of stuff. And again, all these skeleton bones are coming out of the closet, and they're coming out of the closet and they're telling a completely different story than what many of the feminists wanted to push as related to women being victims, or your Mark Lamont show wanted to push as related to women being victims. They want to push the story, but we're seeing that it's a completely different story. A lot of these girls were in college, and a lot of them, some of them were even in high school out here with these kind of guys, thinking, I'm going to go get one of these guys who's an entertainer. I'm going to get one of these guys who's an artist. I'm going to go out here or hook up with some dudes. And again, this is something women have been doing for years, but now they don't want those skeleton bones to come out because it would basically blow the lid off of the life that they've created and show that many of these women are living a double life.
Yeah. I mean, he's talking about male patriarchy and stuff. You know, he's demonizing not only black folks, he's demonizing men by saying this thing. As if women are the only one, men were the only ones oogling each other. You don't think women were oogling men?
All those women out there checking for guys, a lot of them are checking for rappers and entertainers, looking for easy money.
And he's talking to women about women like they're children, like they don't know how to think for themselves. I'm glad Sean mentioned high school. I remember girls in high school talking about it would be cool to go to the Freaknik or go to Daytona or these different places where they engage in these type of behaviors. And that's what I've been yelling for the last 5 years about these women yelling about Me Too. They went out here, they showed their ass. Now they want to, they hit a wall, or they aged out, or they got girls and they want to sit there and say, oh, I didn't do that. I was a delicate wallflower. Like hell, you was out there partying, out drinking some dudes. And don't even get me started talking about some of the clubs I've been to in my early 20s. You know, and even today women are out here. See, they want to play both ways. If you did what you did back then, you're going to say, hey, you know, I was young. Hey, let it stay there. But if you still worry about today, you must have been doing some serious things that you don't want to come to light. But I highly doubt that Hulu would show the graphic images. They might show some still pictures. They may show somebody dancing on cars, but it won't be X-rated unless they got a director's cut of this documentary going to come out for sale somewhere down the line. But Mark Hill needs to stop treating women like they delicate wallflowers, like they live Miss Perfect and stuff. A lot of these women that was in these type of settings were just as freaky, if not more than men. And we need to quit pretending that these women are delicate flowers.
Yeah. Sean, do you have any last words?
No, I don't have anything else to say. I mean, this is just something that is skeleton bones coming out, and a lot of these people, their whole world is going to get blown up. That's what's just going to happen with this.
They got lawsuits being filed right now too to prevent this from coming out. Let me just say, I'm happy. I was 8 years old, and my mama was too old to go to Freaknik. All of her stuff was in the disco on the 70s. She didn't Freaknik, she freaked out to cheek with Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards. So I'm just grateful to that. Thank you, Mama, for being old in the 90s, being in your 40s in the 90s, past your prime.
Oh, you don't want to talk about the 70s. Some of the stories I heard come from my parents' age group. They were probably a lot worse than the Freaknik, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Studio 54 was Sodom and Gomorrah.
Remember, they was doing cocaine as a party favorite. Remember,
Right.
So every generation got it, but I just think the women of the 80s and 90s, especially in 90s, who've been out here yelling the last 10 years about women's rights and don't treat me sexually when you participate in it, you were like hypocrites.
Well, my mom. Well, let me say this: in the 70s, at least, they didn't have social media, so they didn't have cameras. They brought cameras in there, but they only showed the dancing part. They didn't go into like the room, the suite, and so forth.
But I don't know how these women and men not know when they pulled out them big ass recorders in the 90s and they got smaller. You don't think them tapes is floating around? So, because I remember they were selling tapes on the west side of Chicago of the Freaknik and everything. And girls that was college age that went there act like they all sugar and spice. They were scared their parents is gonna find out about that. So I'm laughing at this stuff now. But Mark Hill, I don't know if he grew up in a single parent household, but I think he got issues with masculinity and black men in particular.
Yeah. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. But this was Mark Lamont Hill is full of shit. And he's on a network that nobody watches. It's going to be canceled just like the DNC. Who cares about the grill?
He's pandering just like Don Lemon is pandering. Who's pandering? Look where they got him now.
Yeah, he's gone. He's almost gone. Darius said Freaknik is what put Atlanta on the map. Then after that, the Olympics came in '96.
White folks started complaining about the Freaknik because they was the ones complaining because they were starting to go to different parts of Georgia, and there was too many Negroes from the north and all the South conversion in one area and everything. And my thing is that everybody want to rewrite history. Look, some people did things when they were young, move on, but I think a lot of it is that people don't want to like hypocrites. They're afraid that the kids are going to say, wait a minute, you can't tell me Jack. I just saw you on the documentary, Mama. Dad, you did that. And I'm going to tell you something. A lot of these women are more scared than the men because these women went hard. Like you said, Gavin, we saw the pictures. We know, we heard the stories. And me and Sean, we old enough to remember when they was in high school girls was plotting to go and lie about their age and go on trips, tell their parents they're going as a school trip or whatever they was doing for a weekend or so. Yeah. So, I want to see how Hulu put this together because this is, like you said, a Disney-owned, partly owned Disney company.
I need everyone to go to Amazon and buy The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby on Amazon Kindle, ladies and gentlemen. I need you to also if you'd like to advertise, email me at gavin.gmail.com. You can also go to Patreon and find other videos. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we always love if you would like to support this channel by going to the Cash App, PayPal, or GooglePay and donating to that to support this channel. As you know, it is not monetized YouTube, or should I say StreetTube, as it's on a shadow ban. You can buy Brother Sean James books like The Woman Crisis on Amazon. Of course, you can check out songs like my video solo and Gotta Get On Up, available on iTunes and Spotify and other touchscreen platforms, respectively. Support our brother Harvey Superboy by going to his YouTube channel, Your Word, and supporting him. You can go there, watch it. He's got videos that's dropping. You know a video is going to drop when he does the beep. When you hear that beep, you know it's on. You know, I saw a long time ago, I knew that the Dalai Lama was a freak. I knew he did this, he was a trio, because no, he's wrong. I was watching that. That was a good one. But yeah, Savannah had a Freaknik type event too called Orange Crush right there on the beach. Yeah, they had stuff at Daytona Beach, Florida. White folks even had something up in Sturgis, North Dakota, the Dakotas and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm hearing about that. The bikers, yeah. I remember when they had, remember WCW used to have, I can't think of the name of the event, but they would do road, I think it was called Road Wild. Yeah, Sturgis.
Yeah, I gotta go. So thank you guys for having me on. I just said gonna go.
Oh, Sean, before you go, you want to tell us what your live stream is about tomorrow?
It might be about black men and their mothers. That may be the topic of tomorrow night's live stream, but it's still tentative.
All right, you can buy Sean's books. We're wrapping it up now on Amazon.com. Brother Sean, thank you for dropping by.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Sean was here longer than probably what he expected, but we're thankful for Sean always for being here tonight. We always have a great live stream. And Harvey, I want to thank you for coming in. And do you have anything coming up that everybody should be aware of?
I don't know. Maybe tonight I might drop a video. Maybe tomorrow, probably tomorrow, about Mark Lamar Hill. So I had to really sit back and think about this one because I don't want to say something that's going to get me kicked off YouTube forever.
Oh.
Because I caught myself on your show. I was about to say something. I'm like, I don't want to insult anybody, but you know.
Yeah.
But you can go to my Cash App. It's Cash App $HL1974 if you like to donate anything.
I got it right there. Please donate to my Cash App if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen, or Venmo. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you, Brother Harvey.
Thank you, Gavin. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been a great live. We've talked about a lot. Went over 2 hours and 30 minutes, but it was worth it. You all be safe and be blessed. I'm going to probably, while I'm off from work, I'm going to catch up on some TV shows that I haven't seen. I might watch Star Trek Picard. Since
you're going to like it.
Yeah, go back and watch. I had started watching it, but I couldn't get into it. Paramount Plus, I'll just say this too. I've started watching Tulsa King. Have you watched that?
That was really good. It was really good.
Yeah, that was real. That one is really
good. It shocked me. You know, but you don't have to get Paramount Plus if you want. You use Amazon. If you have Amazon Prime, that's how I watch those shows on Amazon Prime. I don't need no more streaming services.
Yeah. Well, I can watch it through Apple, which
I
have Apple Plus, so that's how I watch it. But yeah, it's really a great show. So yeah. All right. Well, Brother Harvey, I appreciate it, man. It's been good, and we're gonna see you in the next one.
Okay, see you guys later. Everybody be safe.
Everybody be safe and be blessed, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna wrap this thing up. Good night. We also want you to also go to go to Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com. Shout out to Queen D. Tupman again. for this commercial. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Noni's goes great with every dish, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, guys. See y'all in the next one. Be safe, be blessed, be one. I'll holla.